if I do, bear with me. We're going to be talking about us. If it gets nasty, I'll just go inside. So we might just have to take a 1 minute breather while I get my butt indoors. Or I suppose I could go under that little roof over there. We'll see. Anyways, today we are going to talk about dog training sages. There's a lot of dog trainers out there that create this aura, the aura of being this magical sage, this magician. They have all these secrets, and if you follow them and you basically worship them, for lack of a better word, they'll give you those secrets, and you too can be able to do what, the Dalai Lama of dog training is able to do. And as per usual, I'm here to demystify the bullshit. I'm here to try and simplify dog training as much as possible because the simpler my dog training got, the better it got. Anyways, we'll let some more people jump on and then I'll get started. As per usual, get the likes up, guys, because the likes will allow more people to see this live and they will jump on and we can get the viewers where we need to go before we get started. I see you guys all on here. Hello, hello, hello. I hate when people overcomplicate something that is actually very simple. I absolutely hate it. Because it's unnecessary. I mean, you can be good at something that's really simple. Like I'm really good at dog training. I have no problem to say that. But I'm not going to pretend it's like rocket science because it's not. It's not. And I think the problem a lot of people have with dogs is that A, they don't understand the fundamental principles of dog training, which we will go over again today. And B, they struggle with the fluidity of what a dog is. And we can get into that too. So who someone made a funny comment there. Who plans your vacations? You always pick the most beautiful spots. Well, I do. I do. It turns out I have impeccable taste in many things, not just dogs. John says, got yelled at by a lib in PetSmart for using a prong collar and collar on my German Shepherd puppy the other day. It is truly a terrible thing. Lenny says, I have a 10-month-old Rottweiler. He's a 109-pound male. He likes bullying my fiance, and I have a problem stopping him. Off-leash hikes and IGP training. I think you should talk. I will talk PSA. I think that beef is still alive and well. Those PSA people. I don't think they really know who they're dealing with. They keep trying to treat me like I'm some kind of like person that talks on the internet. I'm like, guys, I don't think you really know who I am. I actually really do this. Like I go out there and I compete on a high level. When I speak about dog sport, I know what I'm talking about. All the people that founded your sport, guess what sport they came from? And guess what sport they weren't successful in? Oh, did he just say that? I think he did. I think he did. Right? So that's not to say that their sport can't be awesome. It can be, but they've got to change a lot of things. Anyways, let's focus on what we were actually going to talk about first. Then we can get to PSA if there's time and the rain doesn't kill us here. And I will be taking moments to puff on my cigar because every time I just get into talking, the stupid cigar goes out. And it's never as good if you have to restart it like 20 times. So if you don't like it, sucks to be you. Sorry. Anyways, here we go. Fundamental rules of dog training. Let me reiterate these rules in a broad sense, just so that we're all on the same page with what the fundamental rules of dog training are. Okay. So the fundamental rules of dog training are this. Okay. If a dog performs a behavior, whether it is a behavior you think you taught your dog or a behavior the dog just picked up or does on his or her own, or maybe you're not sure which it is. There are two reasons dogs perform behavior. The primary reason, genetic predisposition. The secondary reason, learned. Okay? So, genetic predisposition. There's neural pathways inside the dog that he or she was born with that make certain behaviors extremely rewarding or certain behaviors extremely aversive. So on one side of the spectrum, we've got the dog that likes chasing squirrels, right? And not all of them do, but some of them really, really love it, right? And then on the other side of the spectrum, we got the dog maybe that's afraid of thunder, okay? Now, and neither of those things, like one of them, those things are both inborn. I know a lot of people don't like to hear it, but it is inborn, right? There's neural pathways in the dog that facilitate the behavioral expression you see of chasing the squirrels and avoiding the thunder. So, genetic predisposition. And by the way, as someone, again, as a dog trainer, I am blessed with the ability to see dog training from a lot of different perspectives that maybe other dog trainers aren't, because I do a lot of things in dog training, such as breeding. And I can't tell you how many things, like even the way a dog runs, the way a dog turns, the way a dog takes the tug, bites the ball, the way a dog barks. It's so genetic, you wouldn't even freaking believe it, right? It's so genetic, the way they respond to stimuli such as stress, all of that. It's so genetic, okay? So that's one thing that you guys have to understand. So number two, learn behavior. Things that you taught the dog or things that the environment taught the dog, right? They could be good things or they could be bad things. We don't have to get into examples of that. I think a lot of you guys kind of understand where I'm coming from. And then tertiary, a combination of both. There is a genetic predisposition and there was some learned behavior that fed into the pre-existing genetic predisposition that basically supercharged it and made it a super strong behavior in the dog, right? The mistake a lot of people make with dog training is assuming that all things dogs learn come from them. The environment teaches your dog so much, and it can be good things and bad things. That's up to you. That's up to the genetic predisposition of the dog. That's up to the previous experiences of the dog. Now, understanding that that's why dogs do what they do, how can we influence what they do? Okay, well, as I always say, motivation, obligation. We can motivate the dog to do the things that we want him or her to do, and we can also obligate the dog. We can obligate the dog to do the things that we want him or her to do. We can also do, I know it's magic to a lot of people, a combination of both. You can motivate and obligate for the same behavior, right? And you can pick how much of each portion is in there. And then, okay, there's one more thing. Removing behavior. He does something you don't like. How do we get rid of it? Punishment. You get rid of it with punishment. Punishment. Yes, punishment, right? It's just that simple. You can either reinforce behavior or you can extinguish or reduce behavior. Those are your two options, right? So we talked about why behavior exists, right? Genetic predisposition or learned, or a combination of both, which is, in my opinion, the strongest the strongest form of behavior in a dog. And then we talk about how you can influence the dog's behavior, either reinforcing, creating new behaviors, reinforcing them, or reinforcing pre-existing behaviors, or punishing those behaviors to create reduction/extinction. That is it. That is it. If anybody tries to tell you something different, they are lying to you. Let's talk about some fundamental principles. Fundamental principle number one, if a dog has a pre-existing or an existing behavior, I shouldn't say pre-existing, maybe you were there for the inception of the behavior. It doesn't particularly matter. If your dog has a behavior, let's say reactivity, resource guarding, dog aggression, whatever you want to call it. Let's say your dog has that, okay, or one of those things. You are not going to get that behavior to go away with positive reinforcement of any kind. You are not. You can distract your dog temporarily with positive reinforcement. You can fool yourself into believing that, you're classically conditioning your dog to anticipate positive reinforcement instead of, the negative behavior that's going to happen. You can play all sorts of little fucking games if you want, but fundamentally, especially if that behavior is based in a genetic predisposition and learned behavior, which behaviors like reactivity, resource guarding, dog aggression, etc., those are all a combination of genetic predisposition supercharged with learned behavior, right? Experiences that have reinforced the dog in that genetic predisposition that he or she had. Has, did you just say that reactivity and resource guarding and dog aggression are genetic predispositions? Yes, sir, I did. Yes, sir, I did. I did. Because I've seen it time and time again, puppies showing that behavior from 8 weeks onwards, showing that predisposition towards that behavior. Now, of course, with good training, you can reduce slash create extinction within those specific behavioral predispositions, or you can enhance and reinforce them, right? I dare say I've seen dogs that were attacked multiple times as young dogs that did not develop dog aggression. They did not develop reactivity. They were attacked by other dogs multiple times, never became aggressive, right? So that puts a needle in that theory that, all of its learned behavior. On the flip side, I've seen dogs that have had fantastic experiences. They've been raised by loving, caring families that, put so much time into socializing the dog, training the dog, so on and so forth. The dog is a fearful, nervous, reactive mess, right? It's as if all that work they did meant nothing because unfortunately, genetic predisposition is the most powerful form of, why a dog does what he or she does. And a lot of people think, oh, like 50% genetics, 50% nurture. No, it's something like 80% genetics, 20% nurture. That's me as a breeder and as a trainer saying that to you. So you can take that or leave it. Don't shoot the messenger. It's still dripping a little bit. Anyways, where was I? So if you want to create extinction or at least a reduction in those behaviors that are unpleasant, you must punish them. There is nothing else that you can do. Positive reinforcement will not fix those behaviors. The reason why is because the dog is being positively reinforced and more importantly, negatively reinforced in those behaviors because of the way he or she is wired. It's intrinsic. It's intrinsic. It's like, the best way to think of it is someone that, let's say, let's use an extreme example. Someone that likes hurting people. Thankfully, fairly rare. But people like that exist. We all know that they exist. There are people out there that enjoy hurting, harming, creating stress, discomfort, pain in other human beings. They derive pleasure and satisfaction from that, right? And we all use words to describe them. He's a psychopath. He's crazy. He's not right in the head, blah, blah, blah. Right? There's all sorts of different ways that we describe these people. There's mental health issues that they're diagnosed with. But if you understand it from that perspective, there's something in the way that person is wired. There's something neural inside that person, right, that causes them to derive joy and satisfaction from that. You don't know, that person could have gone through so many different things as a child. Yeah, maybe. But guess how many people go through all sorts of horrific experiences as children and don't develop, a sadistic streak that, they take joy and satisfaction in the pain and humiliation and fear and discomfort of others, right? So you have to understand it from that perspective, right? Dogs are very much like that, but even more so, right? Even more so. They're such creatures of genetic predisposition. So if you think your cookie or your game of tug or whatever positive reinforcement you got going for you is going to change the fundamental wiring of that dog. It's going to override the internal wiring of the dog to engage, right, in those types of behaviors. You got another thing coming. It's never going to happen, right? The only way that you fix those behaviors is with the clear and consistent application of strong positive punishment. That is the only way you can reliably reduce slash create an extinction within those behaviors, or enough inhibition at least within the behavioral pattern that you have the time to remove the dog from the situation. Like a dog that's dog aggressive and another dog runs up to him loose, right? Like maximum over threshold experience that you can think of. So this is fundamental principle number one. Fundamental principle number two: how do we teach behavior And how do we make it reliable? A combination of positive and negative reinforcement. You can do it exclusively with negative reinforcement, right? And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. I'm not going to get into all the nuts and the bolts of what that is. And positive reinforcement. I want you guys to understand one thing. You know, a lot of people will say things, stupid things, right? They'll see me training with an e-collar. Do it without the e-collar. It's like, hey, I'm training. I'm not trialing. I'm not doing this to put on a show. I'm training. That means I'm actually working on something. Why would I take the e-collar off my dog when I'm training? Because for you, you view the e-collar as a punishment. For me, the e-collar is negative reinforcement. I'm negatively reinforcing behaviors the dog already understands in many cases, but I'm still constantly sculpting and touching up those behaviors. That's why I use the e-collar constantly in the training, right? A lot of people don't understand. They think of the e-collar as just a giant kind of hammer that's forcing the dog or held over the dog to punish him for wrongdoing. And it's like, no, the e-collar is applied even when the dog is doing what he needs to do. That's what people don't understand. Now, those of you that ride horses, right, should understand this because the e-collar is like the spur. The e-collar is like the whip, right? You don't use these things to stop the horse. You use these things to actually negatively reinforce the horse into the desired behavior that you want, right? Moving the way you want, yielding the way you want. Not all pressure is designed to create a yield. Some pressure is designed to create more urgency. Pressure can have different inferences, and the inference that you apply to the pressure is completely dependent upon you and your training system. A lot of people don't understand that, right? Guys, I only have 25 likes in here. Get the likes up, and I'll keep going. Maybe I'll talk about PSA shortly. I know some of you like that. I like talking about PSA it's kind of fun. There's a little bit of like a troll in me, but trolls aren't just trolls, right? Like what is a troll, right? Well, there's two types of trolls. There's trolls that are literally just people that like are desperate for attention and they'll do anything they can to get attention, including making stupid remarks. And then there are trolls that are like, you know, old-fashioned court jesters. And what the court jester was, what people don't understand, the court jester wasn't just a clown. He wasn't just there to make fun of people. He was there to speak truth to power in an acceptable way. And when they wrap the truth in humor, right? It was more palatable for the power to swallow, right? The court jester was able to say things that normal people could not say to the king because it was his job. Now, I'm not saying I'm a court jester. I'm just saying I want you guys to understand when I troll, there's usually an element of that in it, right? And sometimes you get the information across the best when it comes to adding a little humor to it. All right, guys. I'm going to get to some of your questions here. Ian White says, hi from the UK. Congratulations on your recent win with Chico. Thank you, sir. Macedonian Gangster says, do I like black German Shepherds specifically? I like all German Shepherds, man. I don't have a thing that I really need it to be a certain color. If I had to pick a color, I'd pick bicolor, actually. Some weirdos in the chat, as per usual. Off Leash Hikes says, do you reward every waypoint you create with a toy, or do you occasionally reward with praise, or maybe active barking? Completely depends on the dog. Completely depends on the dog. Lori says, anything dogs, dog training, HAZ is definitely the man. He is who you want to listen to. Damn, Lori. Smart, no nonsense. Absolutely knows his stuff, guys. Wow, it sounds like I'm paying you or something. Thank you, Lori. Hasty Amazing says, hello, sir. My male Malinois puppy that is 3 months old. I train him daily at mealtime using your book. But I noticed when I stop him from nipping my hands, he starts barking at me and nipping legs. Is that okay? No, it's not okay. It's like if you told your kid that he could no longer, smack you in the face, he started swearing at you and kicking you in the shins. It's not okay. No. Let's see what else we got. We got Jess Vale says, tell us about Victra. She's so cute. Oh, you're speaking about that puppy I kept back from my V litter. Well, I keep puppies back. I keep females back. I try to keep females back from just about every litter I do now because I want that blood moving forward. And I'm hoping in 2 years, if she passes all her tests, I'll use her for breeding. But she's a puppy I gave to someone on a co-own. And she's going to live with her, and she'll come back here for breeding in 2 years. So there's not much to tell. Hasty Amazing says, and thank you for your book. It's amazing. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Joseph Hathaway says, a neighbor's Anatolian ex-golden mix, he's basically just a giant golden in temperament, got loose and wandered into my yard, and my bully mix got loose and put his head on the Anatolian's neck. Yeah, it's classic kind of dominance display, right? You'll see it when you put the dogs together. They'll try to put their heads over each other. They'll show excessively stiff body language. One might show appeasement, right? The licking of the lips and getting lower, putting the ears back, making themselves smaller. Well, one, bows out his chest and actually, shows that he's over the other one. Classic, dominance display. And they're trying to develop a fundamental social hierarchy that they can utilize when moving forward in their interaction with one another. Yeah, what's going on with people asking about old dogs? Listen, guys, there's all sorts of dogs that you see on my YouTube channel over the years. It's up to you to follow the YouTube channel, and I'm very clear and transparent in the YouTube channel with what happens to dogs like Kevin, dogs like Mace. I've spoken ad nauseum about what happened to them. I have full video series. If you're not going to follow the video series and see what happened to them, don't ask me in lives. I mean, you super chat it, so I'll say again what I've already said. I found Kevin a home on a sheep farm, and that's where he's living, as far as I know, right now. And, that's where he belongs. Let's see here. Jesse101 says, hi, HAZ. I love your videos on dog handling. I have learned a lot, but I still have trouble with negative reinforcement. Yeah, well, everything takes time. So here's the thing, right? I kind of rail against this. There's a lot of guys out there that they try to overcomplicate dog training. I'm going to tell you something, guys. As someone that didn't have, a mentor, what I found was the more complicated my dog training was, the more complicated a solution was, the less effective it was in the long run, and more importantly, the less replicable it was. It was hard for people to replicate it. The simpler you can keep dog training, the more effective it is generally for the dog, and the more effective it is for the people that are trying to replicate what it is that you do. The very best dog trainers in the world tend to be very, very simple. So simple, you're like, God, why didn't I think of that? All these guys that want to pretend to be the sage with the super secret dog training methods that are so different from everybody else, right? Either they're bullshitting you or it's seminar training, right? And seminar training is training that can look good in the moment, can, create the illusion that something productive is happening, but when actually applied to real life, it usually will fall apart, especially when, the preconditions of the seminar situation are gone, right? You see it all over, whether it's in pet dog training, sport dog training, so on and so forth. I hate seminar training. I like training that's actually going to work in the real world, whether you're in dog sport, whether you have a protection dog, whatever. I don't like any kind of the happy horse shit that a lot of people do. And I try to keep things as simple as possible. And sometimes people are like disappointed with the simplicity of it all, right? Because I understand why these dog training sages get all the attention and stuff because, they're telling you that there's magic involved and you want to believe that there's magic involved, right? I'm here to tell you there's no fucking magic, guys. It's the rules that I outlined at the beginning are the fundamental principles of dog training. Where things get complicated sometimes is when to apply the pressure, when to release the pressure, when to apply the reinforcement, how to judge the effectiveness of the positive reinforcement versus the negative reinforcement versus the positive punishment. A lot of people are really not very good at judging how effective their application of the operant conditioning was, right? They think they're in a specific quadrant, they're actually in another. I don't even like using these fucking words, quadrants, reinforcement, right? Let's keep it simple. They think they rewarded their dog, they didn't really. They think they punished their dog, they didn't really. They get confused between what they intended to do and what actually happened because they lack the ability to read the dog's body language, right? It's that simple, right? Or they don't release the pressure at the right time so that the dog learns the desired behavior or is reinforcing the desired behavior. Then the dog becomes confused about why the pressure is there, and the pressure actually becomes counterproductive to their desired outcome, right? It People have problems reading what actually happened, and they have problems in their timing, or they can struggle a little bit with how to apply the negative reinforcement, how to apply the punishment, how to apply the positive reinforcement. But the fundamental principles remain the same, right? So if I learn something new from another trainer, what it's going to be is a new way to apply pressure or a new way to reinforce a dog. That is it. But the fundamental rules and principles, they haven't changed since I started. And they're not going to change, no matter what all the sages tell you. Sorry to disappoint you. Get the damn likes up, guys. 109 people watching here. I got 50 likes. God. Christina says, hello, HAZ. I finally caught alive. Our boy Ozzy, 17-month-old German Shepherd, was enrolled in your basic obedience in-person lessons. Hef was our trainer. Due to Ozzy's reactivity and... Oh, he got cut off, so I can't even read. All right, let's see here. You gave me a dislike? Fantastic. Well, here's what I'm going to do to you, you little... Oh, I probably shouldn't use that word. I'm going to get demonetized. It starts with H and ends with actual. There you go. You don't exist anymore. Back to the dungeon with you. All right. All right, what else we got here? Redirection. We were asked to leave and transfer the funds for the public class for private lessons. We haven't been able to make it back. Okay, well, make it back then. I want to hear you talk about activation and conditioning the fur saver. Your short videos where you turn your dog on are an inspiration. Well, you're talking about a classically conditioned behavior there, right? That's the old video that I did. By the way, I don't even do that anymore. The old video that I did where I put the fur saver over the dog's head and he just goes, whoa, 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 and becomes active on me, right? All it is first you have to teach your dog to be active. Then before you make him active, put the fur saver on. It's just that simple. He'll classically condition and associate the fur saver with being active. If you want to know how to make your dog active, you're going to have to take my secret sauce course where I get into all the complexity of teaching your dog how to be active and how to use it actually in training. Kimmy says, my vet got on me for correcting my dog for growling at her because it'll make him stop growling and bite anyways. Any truth to this? I hear it a lot, and it never sounded right to me, but you have experience. Yeah, no, okay, so there's truth and there's not true. It's not true, but it's true, okay? So I want you to think of it like this. When your dog is growling at somebody, okay, they are threatening them. They are threatening them. Threatening them is a mindset, right? So, like, let's say, for instance, I'm looking at you in the eye, and I'm saying, I'm going to get you. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Would you then say, don't stop HAZ from threatening me, because if I don't let HAZ threaten people, he's just going to kill them. He's not going to threaten them first, right? No, of course not. You'd be like, well, that's completely unacceptable because he's ideating violence towards people, right? Or towards me or whoever, right? So, no, of course, you must, if your intention is to punish aggressive behavior in the dog, you must punish aggressive behavior in the dog, whether it takes the form of a threat or the form of the action. What a lot of people get confused is they don't know how to do that properly. So they'll do enough to kind of half-ass, like, stop the dog's growling, but he's still showing all the nonverbal communication of threat. That stiff body language, the closed mouth, the intense staring, right? So they have not actually punished the ideation of aggression, right? They've just maybe stifled the vocalization of the ideation, but all the rest of it's still there. Now, if my dog growls at somebody and I punish him, he's going to be like, oh shit, like, he's going to be like, oh my God, my world just ended, right? And there's going to be nothing left inside of him to be aggressive. And he'll accept whatever comes next, right? Because I do it properly. I get the verbal and the nonverbal. Most people just focus on the verbal. That being said, I found that most people, they're not even capable of punishing the verbal effectively, right? So it's all kind of nonsense. But people that come up with these nonsensical ideas, it's all based in force-free ideology. And you have to understand that the force-free people are true demons on this earth. And I mean that they're demons on this earth because they perpetuate lies and they mislead people. They mislead people and they mislead by default their animals into actual harm. So I view them as demons. They're the antithesis of the truth, right? People think of demons as like these beings with horns and a tail. No, demons walk among us. They walk among us. Sometimes they have some pretty obvious tells, like really wide eyes, for instance. I think some of you will get what I'm saying. Anyways, point being, it's true, but it's not true. So I hope I kind of emphasize that for you. But yes, I will 100% punish a dog for threatening another dog or another person. And it 100% works because I'm punishing the entire ideation of the dog. And when you punish the ideation, you remove the behavior, right? It's why I make my dogs active at me, right? It's why I make my dogs active towards me, right? Because when I make my dogs active towards me in obedience, what are they doing? They're ideating. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So what do? I reinforce the ideation of let's go, let's go. I reinforce the verbal ideation, which usually takes the form of barking, like go, 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 and then we go, right? And that's what builds the dog up. That's why you see my dogs barking at me in competition obedience, right? Because I'm reinforcing the target behavior by creating more and more, ideation that they emphasize, that they communicate through their body language and their verbal communication, right? It's the same with bad behavior you don't like. Okay. What else we got here? Another person with mental health issues. Off you go. The internet is not a place for you. Too much talking. The cigar went out. See? Exactly what I said was going to happen. Okay. Someone says, I have a Caucasian Shepherd. I've noticed she won't react to negative reinforcement the first, second, third time. Eventually she starts. See, it's early. No, it's not that she won't react to negative reinforcement. It's that you're doing it wrong. For her, you're doing it wrong. It's that simple. Every being reacts to negative reinforcement. There's no exceptions, right? If they don't react the right way, then you're either not negatively reinforcing them or you're in another quadrant, right? Like the problem is with you, right? You have an intention to do something, but it's not happening. It's not that the thing doesn't exist, it's that you're not doing it. Do I export puppies to the UK? Any kind of export outside of Canada and the United States, I always say for puppies, just because, in the grand scheme of things, they're not that expensive. You have to arrange the shipping. I'll drop them off at the airport. James Cohen says, do you have a, I suck at selling things. Do I have a Patreon? Yes, I do. Search Shield Canine on Patreon. Do I have online training? Yes, I do. ShieldCanineOnline.com. I have online courses that you get access to. So, yes. I like to talk too much. I don't sell enough. Sell, sell, sell. If you want to know the super secrets to all the fantastic training that I do, buy my online courses. You were about to ask about Beast. Oh, you're referring to my old Pressa. Yes, my old Pressa, who now lives somewhere in the United States of America. For those of you that don't know, I went through a couple years where I was breeding the Perro de Presa Canario. And I had a Presa that I imported from Romania that I raised and that I trained, and he was black, and his name was Beast. Puppies, where some were very good, some were small and had small heads, and I didn't like that so much. Beast himself, he was a really cool dog, very fit, very strong, not a lot of drive, but he was a dog that you could motivate with activity because he enjoyed being active. Hasty Amazing says, so I need to use positive punishment when he nips and barks at me. Exactly. How can I train my wife that overdoes things, talks to dogs too much and all that? She doesn't know how to work with the dogs. That's a you problem, my friend. I can't get into that on here. I'm going to get myself in a whole heap of trouble. Um, what else do we got here? Sabrina Wanamaker. No magic. Does that mean Santa isn't real? Sadly, he's not. He is not. We got North Carolina in the house. Dennis says, Dennis, $100, go take Carson out for a beer or food. Dennis, do you know how often I actually do that? I mean, thanks for paying. I'll let him know that Dennis, this one's on Dennis. But I do it, trust me, I do it all the time anyways. I don't know why. That kid's like, he's like, he's like a little brother, kind of annoying, but you keep him around for the entertainment. Um, do you hate those primitive stress-based methods in protection training? I don't know. You got to elaborate. Stress is a necessary tool in any kind of training, especially protection training, but you have to be much more elaborate than that. We got A-Type Canine. Hello from Edmonton. Hello to you. Dislikes also help the algorithm, so this fool actually helped you. I know, and I appreciate it. People don't understand. Positive, negative, it's all the same to me, baby. Positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement, they both get us where we need to go. Arguably, negative is actually more powerful than positive. So I'll allow you to stay in. The only thing I won't abide by is when you're clearly like off your rocker. Like if you just took like a bunch of meth and you jumped on here and you're making crazy comments like about, oh, like let me see the down in your sweater. It's like, what? Okay, you need to go to the rehab clinic. I can't help you, right? All right, we got how to build play drive. Well, I have an entire course on this called the Power Play course on ShieldCanineOnline.com. He loves just chasing and playing with the handler, but loses interest in toys. It's probably how you're playing with the toy, right? To be honest. Now, of course, there are certain dogs that just like they don't have that much play drive, right? Like their drive for toys is certainly less than other dogs. But I find that the vast majority of dogs, you can get them to play with toys and play quite intensely with toys if you play with them in the right way. Most people are just like, here's the toy, have fun. And the dog's like, bro, that's not doing anything for me, right? That doesn't do anything for me. But when you introduce the toy in the right way and you show the dog why it's fun, then all of a sudden they'll be like, okay, I could get into this. I enjoy this, right? Even if they don't have a lot of prey drive. But most people don't do that wrong. There's a lot of different things you can do. Again, you got to get into my course. It's too much to talk about on here. Christina says, good course. Love the knowledge you put in. Wish you would add a course on all phases for trials. I have 6 months to try my first one. Hopefully get to see you out there. Well, I appreciate that. I will. I'll try. I will. I'm going to get to doing more courses that are IGP specific. I will. It's just, got to get to it. Celeste says, in your experience, do dogs take direction from male handlers better than they do from female handlers? Depends what you mean from by direction, right? So female handlers in general, I find, tend to be a little more, what's the word? They're a little more patient. They're willing to build behaviors more carefully, slowly. They're willing to nurture behavior, so on and so forth. Where I find that female handlers generally struggle is with kind of more hard-headed, let's say, independent dogs that like to self-satisfy, dogs that'll give you that middle finger and say, take that to put that in your pipe and smoke it, right? Dogs that have really strong negative behaviors that they derive a lot of personal satisfaction from. I find that female handlers in general tend to struggle more with those types of dogs. Male handlers, a lot of them can be maybe a little bit less patient. Again, these are very broad generalities. A little bit less patient with building behavior and maybe go into using pressure correctively instead of to build behavior. They use the pressure more like, you're fucking it up. And it's like, bro, he doesn't even know what you want him to do, right? So, like, these are broad generalities, but in the grand scheme of things, I mean, if you look at dog sport, if you look at behavior training, so on and so forth, I would argue probably the best behavior trainers out there that you're going to find are male. And I would say that in dog sport, it's pretty even. Like, you're going to see a lot of females at the tippy top of the spectrum because, again, dog sport's more about building a really strong foundation and reinforcing it. Versus uh, uh, behavior training, you kind of have to have maybe a little bit more of a different approach, especially when it comes to resolving behaviors. Again, these are broad generalities. There's always exceptions, right? Before I purchase the Secret Sauce course, are you planning to offer a monthly subscription? No, James, I don't have a plan to do that right now. But you know what I do plan to do? I plan to suspend my pro trainer course. I'm gonna suspend my pro trainer course on Friday when I get back. I don't have time right now to take in new people and to deal with new people. I'm gonna be busy over the next little bit, so I'm gonna suspend my pro trainer course, and I'm not gonna allow any new applicants in. Maybe all the way until the new year. I don't know. Braulio says, has taking my 10-month-old Mal to get evaluated to see if he's worth anything in protection. Anything I should look out for during the eval? I mean, if it's a Malinois, I'll tell you what I would do to evaluate him. The first thing I would do is I'd watch him walk in the room. If he walks in the room, he's acting sketchy, nervous, and afraid. That's something I'm going to catalog right there as a potential nerve issue. The problem with potential nerve issues is that, when the going gets tough, usually the nervy dogs get going. So that's something to consider as well. The other thing I'm going to look for is right away, I'll check the prey drive. It's a Belgian Malinois, so typically the prey drive should be high. And if the prey drive is high, then that's going to be how I start to build the dog in the behaviors that I want. If there is no prey drive, which is rare for Belgian Malinois, then I'm going to start to check the reactive side. 10 months old, I'll only be checking the reactive side if the prey drive is not present. If the prey drive is present, the dog appears to be like, social, outgoing, so on and so forth. Then for me, like, okay, this is where we're going to build the dog, and we'll bring in that reactive side a little bit later once the dog has built up some level of confidence, right? Um, yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. What cigar am I smoking tonight? I am smoking Backstreet 1998. This is a Nicaraguan cigar. I like Nicaraguan tobacco. I enjoy it more than Dominican or Cuban. How do old school, no food, no reinforcement trainers build engagement and attention? Well, usually they don't, which is why their dogs always look like dog shit next to them. Um, the really good ones know how to use pressure to create urgency in the dog to always pay attention to them, right? When they're really good with pressure, and if you're working with a dog that's somewhat robust in nature, you can certainly create engagement simply with pressure alone. And all it is you've made yourself so important to the dog. You are the giver of pressure. You are the releaser of pressure, and now you become the most important thing in the environment, right? You only become something to avoid or something to fight if the pressure is unclear, right? But if the pressure is clear, then all the dogs, especially the dogs of robust nature, just quickly say, "Oh, okay, I have to pay attention to you because what you do, how you move, what you say, it all matters. So I must pay attention to you. More important than all this stuff going on around me." Do I have recommendations for places to learn to decoy? No, I do not. Not right now. I might do something with that later because there's not enough people that actually know how to decoy. People confuse the ability to catch a dog with decoying. I am not an athletic decoy. I don't pretend to be an athletic decoy. You're not going to see me on YouTube showing off my moves because it's actually not that fucking important unless I'm actually decoying a trial, which I never have to do, right? Because I'm not a trial decoy. That's the only time being an athletic decoy is really all that important. As a training decoy, you don't even really have to move that much generally. You just have to know how to read a dog and how to elicit the right drives, how to determine why a dog is doing what it does, how to make certain things better, how to make it stop doing other things. Basically, how to train the dog to do what you want them to do. Bark like this, bite like that, right? Go from barking to biting in this moment. Let go here, right? This is what a good training decoy does. Most people get all confused because they see these decoys on Instagram and Facebook, doing all these like flashy catches and stuff. And every so often somebody be like, "Oh, like so and so from Instagram's coming. Do you want to work with, whatever it is?" It's like, bro, that guy fucking showed up 2 years ago. It's like, no, I don't want to work with him. Like, why would I work with? What's he gonna do for me? You know what I mean? It's like there's not going to be anything there that's productive, right? If I want to show my dog a really athletic decoy, I have access to those anyways. They're a dime a dozen. They're not particularly difficult to come across. I know people like to act like every new guy that can make a flashy catch on Instagram is the second coming of Jesus, but they're not. Especially in a fucking bite suit. Like, stop with that nonsense, right? IGP decoying is a little bit more hard, of course, because it's a left arm hard sleeve, and you can really injure the dog um, if you don't know what you're doing. But like, yeah, people need to chill out with that stuff. Go for the training decoy. That's a significantly more important skill to develop, and unfortunately, there's not enough people that take the time to develop that skill. Let's see here. Do I have a favorite dog? Maybe one you bonded with more. I really like Chico. Probably like him a little more than Gage, to be honest. He's easier to be around, that's for sure. I like him a lot. Probably my Chihuahua Rambo, R.I.P. Rambo. I had him for quite a few years. Unfortunately, he passed away 7 years ago, and he was the only dog that I ever would have up on the couch. I give him kisses on the head. Man, he was my favorite little dog. I really liked that guy. He had such a nice vibe. How would you teach a mastiff with high stress aloofness instinct to do solid, clean protection work? I'd come through his reactive side and build him there. All right, let's see here. I'll talk about the PSA thing just briefly because I know some of you wanted me to. And I have no problem talking about it. Recently somebody on like a PSA group or something posted anonymously like his critique of like how inconsistent the judging was in a trial or some such thing. And people were all like, "Why did you post this anonymously?" It's like, listen, when I made the comments that I made about PSA, I knew that was the equivalent of burning the boats behind me, right? I told you guys before, I wasn't kidding. I had every intention of actually raising and training a dog to do PSA. But after I'd been to a few trials with, people that I had coached, and seen how the judging, how inconsistent and terrible the judging was, I said there was, just as I said in that live, there's no way I'm going to sign myself up for this kind of nonsense, put the time, effort, and money into this, only, to get screwed over by a malicious judge. And you can see it all the time. And I knew that after I made that video, for sure, now I go on that trial field in PSA, you're going to be public enemy number one. And, the judge is going to do everything he can. Many of them, they're already blatantly, inconsistent and corrupt. And I'm not saying every one of them. I know that there are probably some good ones out there, as there are in every group of human beings. But there's going to be enough of them out there that have a bone to pick and are going to try to make a point screwing me over, that I knew at that point, like, hey, you burned the boats behind you. You're definitely not getting involved in this sport. And I was comfortable with that decision just because, for me, like I said, I'm a very competitive person. I play the game to win, right? So I do IGP with the goal of winning. And thankfully, I've been fairly successful at that as of late. And God willing, I'll be successful at the upcoming World Championship, which I have to prepare for the second I get home. If you think I'm going to go get involved in a sport, train my ass off, have a dog that performs with power and activity on the field when most of the dogs on that field certainly don't, have a dog that shows precision and commitment in the behaviors, which most of the dogs on those fields don't. And then have somebody that has a dog that's half dead next to them, but scrape through everything and is good friends with the judge, stand above me on the podium. You got another fucking thing coming, right? It's not in me to do that. It's not in me to do that. If I lose fair and square, I got no problem. I got no problem, taking my licks, right? But for as hard as I work and for as much thought as I put into that training, there's no way in hell I'll ever sign myself up to play second fiddle to someone that wasn't truly the first fiddle, so to speak. And they have a huge problem with that. So if they want, again, I know that the sport was developed by a lot of people that left IGP because, again, we're never very successful in IGP, right? Hate to say it, but it's true. Um, you know, and we're going to go make our own thing. Okay. And listen, fair play to them. There's aspects of the sport that are fantastic, and I outlined those in my video. It's what made me kind of want to try it. But the lack of consistency in the judging, the lack of objectivity in the judging, I would never sign myself up for that. I'm not. I'm in it to win it. Can I do commentary over IGP videos so we can better understand the judging? Yes, I will do that. No. So someone's asking if high prey, hyper social, no suspicion to people, low defense, is that considered a soft dog? No. Softness has nothing to do with how social or not social a dog is. When we refer to a dog as being soft, we refer to how the dog accepts pressure, specifically from the handler. Now, most Malinois are soft to the handler, which is why there's a subset of people that really enjoy working with them. They're actually very soft dogs. And that means that it doesn't take a lot to get a lot from them, right? They're the antithesis of my dog Chico, who takes quite a bit to get what you want from him, right? He doesn't easily go along. You have to apply a lot of pressure in just the right way to get him to go where you need him to go. Otherwise, he ain't fucking going there, right? If you think, oh, you take your little mini educator and you put that on him and you give him 100 that he's gonna, go in line and he's gonna let go, he's gonna out and he's gonna do all that stuff, you got another friggin' thing coming. That's not how it works with a dog like that. You put a mini educator on your typical Belgian Malinois and light him up at 100, he's going to, crap himself and probably never want to bite again for the rest of his life. And now that might be a slight exaggeration, but you guys understand what I'm saying here, right? So that's what we mean when we speak about hard versus soft. Bobby Max says, "Hey, Haz, I bought your book and trained my Husky Shepherd mix using your methods, and it's been very good. But the problem I'm having is my dog does not have any food drive and loses interest in toys fast. Why is that a problem, Bobby? You've got a pet dog. He's got to do pet dog stuff. There's no judge, right? He just has to do it. All you need is negative reinforcement. That's all you need." Jason says, "I'm training my new dog. I'm having trouble with my first dog doing everything I'm telling the new dog to do. Scared to correct the first dog because of not knowing if it would confuse her." Yeah, no, like I would just send her to a place when I'm training the other dog, right? Now, if the other dog, look, if they're kind of out for a walk and you're trying to train the new dog and the other one's just kind of shadowing and doing everything, it's like, okay, who cares? It's no skin off my nose. But if I want her to not be there, I'll just put her down or I'll send her off to place. I'll take the other dog slightly away and I'll train it there. Van Enzo says, "My dog generally walks well with me, but does not with my wife. She works a lot and walks her once in the morning on limited time. Is there more I can do to help, or does she need to teach the dog?" It's not about teaching the dog, it's just about holding the dog accountable. Assuming you've taught the dog how to walk nicely on the leash, your wife just needs to hold her accountable to those same rules. And if she doesn't, then of course the dog's going to do whatever she wants. Uh, Antane Hunting Kennels Ireland says, "Has any tips for a dog to clamp down on the bicep harder with more raw emotion, true biting power to the back of the molars? It's like he does it only giving 60%. Yeah, probably he's having too much of an easy time in the bite, right? There could be a lot of different things going on there, right? It could be that he's very much just playing and there's no level of realness to what he's doing, in which case, again, working him on that back tie, having a decoy that knows how to kind of bring that frustration, bring maybe that anger, that conflict up a little bit. Very, very important. Versus, whatever it is that you're doing right now, too much easy peasy stuff. Maybe some negative punishment with a leather pillow where it's like you half-assed it, I popped that thing out of your mouth. Put some more urgency into what he's doing. Glomax says, "Is there any context in which using a pinch collar correctly will suppress a dog's drive?" Well, yeah, absolutely. If you're not using it in a way to increase the dog's drive, it's like, what does that pressure mean to him? There's a lot of ways to use a pinch collar. If your goal is to increase the drive with the pinch collar, then I'll assume you've done the foundation to do that, to accomplish that. And if you haven't, well, then for sure, you know, it can certainly create a suppression in the dog. Darius says he would. I think you're talking about your puppy. Um, he was taking pops on the flat collar like a little Terminator. He was also trying to eat every person, car, and bike that he saw. He's also a little bit food aggressive. Raising him without your courses would be a nightmare. Well, good luck to you. You got to read your dog in the moment and decide like what's the best tool for you moving forward with him. Let's see here what we got. What else do we got here? Um, Someone said, "Oh yeah, the PSA people came for you." Yeah, well, it's funny. They can come all they like. Again, I'm not, like I said already, I'm not just some guy on the internet that talks. Like, I really go out there and do this. And I do this in the granddaddy of dog sport. People think I'm trying to put their sport down. I'm not. I say that if they're a young, PSA is a young dog sport. And if they were intelligent, they would say, look, we want the worldwide appeal that IGP has. We want that. We want to take over. We want to be, everything that IGP should have been, everything that IGP was. We want to be IGP, but like 10x better. That's what they would do if they were smart. And how do you accomplish that? Do you accomplish that by shitting on IGP? Oh, it's a pattern sport. Of course, we all sucked at it. None of us ever accomplished anything at the world level, but it's a pattern sport. It's so easy, right? No. What you would do is you would say, what is so awesome about this sport? What makes this, still to this day the granddaddy of dog sport, right? Like when I say I'm competing in IGP, I don't mean like I showed up at a club trial. I mean like I had to go with my dog that already has an IGP3 and place at a regional. Then after placing at a regional, I had to go to a national championship and I had to place at the national championship. Now I'm going to go to the world championship with my dog and I'm going to face off against 5 dogs on every team from multiple countries. There's probably going to be 130, 140 dogs at this world championship. And they're all the creme de la creme of their individual countries, including most of Europe is going to be, pretty much all of Europe is going to be represented there, right? Europe is, whether you like it or not, where dog sport and working dog breeds was basically invented. And there's still a lot of fantastic dog trainers and fantastic dogs there, right? North America hasn't quite reached that level of consistency and concentration yet that Europe has. They will, but not yet. So instead of saying, hey, let's learn from this, how do we get this level of adoption? What can we take from IGP? I would say one thing that you could take from IGP is the consistency in the judging. It's not that there isn't inconsistency in IGP. There surely is. There are certainly judges that will fuck you, right? But they can only screw you so much, right? They can only screw you so much. There's a line to how far they can really screw you before it's like, they're going to have to answer to some people, right? The problem with PSA is they play this game. Oh, it's not a pattern sport, so there's no we can't have consistent judging. Basically, is what they say. It's like I'm sorry, heeling is heeling, right? Whether you did heeling in this order or that order, whether there was screaming decoys next to you or there weren't, whether you were heeling over a bed of coals or you were heeling over a fucking hula hoop, heeling is heeling. The exercise has certain parameters. If the parameters are met, then the exercise needs to be scored accordingly, right? A recall is a recall. A position is a position, right? A jump is a jump. All of these things are still fundamental exercises. Changing the pattern of the exercises doesn't change what the fundamental exercise is. A retrieve is a retrieve. Whether the dog is retrieving a dumbbell, a steel bowl, a hula hoop, right? It's a fucking retrieve. Bite work is bite work. A guard is a guard. A transport is a transport. A long attack is a long attack. I don't care how you did it. It's still the thing. And the fundamental principle of it remains the same. They need to standardize their judging. They need to have a level of accountability for their judging. The reason why people complain anonymously all the time about PSA, the reason why people are in my DMs, big name people in my DMs, like, hey, HAZ, totally agree with you, blah, blah, blah. I won't say anything because I'm trying to, get my PSA 3 in the sport. And I know if I say something, I'm going to get fucked, right? Yeah, it's like, that's a huge problem. You should be able to criticize the powers that be in your sport without knowing that you're going to be screwed when you go on the field. That's the problem that they have, is it's still very much an old boys club. And if you're not in the club, you're taking it up the you-know-what, right? Especially if you criticize them. So they have a big problem. They can either fix it or they won't. And if they don't fix it, honestly, man, I've been to a few PSA trials, and generally speaking, the vibe has nothing on an IGP trial. especially like the bigger IGP trials. I actually enjoy those a lot more. Surprisingly, more of a younger crowd at the PSA trials, but everybody's like real quiet and kind of like keeps to themselves. It's not so much like there's not so much like joking and like chilling. Maybe I just haven't been to the right ones, but like every one that I've been to, I was like, man, the vibe here isn't quite right. It's just not what we need. And I've gone with like, young guys like that, on the full power team, like guys like Carson. We've gone to the PSA trials, you know, um, and it's the same. It's like, bro, like, what's the vibe? What's the vibe here, man? They need to fix the vibe. And God, they got to fix how long it takes to set up the damn field. Like, we got to move things along here. It shouldn't take an hour to set up for a freaking PSA, like, 2 routine or a 3. It takes too damn long. The last thing I'll say on judging is this. When me and my friends watch an IGP routine, right, we can guess within a couple of points what the score is going to be before the judge says it. That's the level of standardization there is, right? That's the ability to look at the exercises, know where the points are taken, where the points are given, right? PSA needs to be the same, right? I don't care if you did the retrieve first and the fucking jump after. It doesn't matter. You should still be able to like, okay, he got all the X. There was a mistake here, a mistake here, a mistake here. He's lost like 6 points. All right, this should be roughly the score. And you should be within 4 or 5 points of the judge. And if you're not, there's a huge problem. And again, take it or leave it. I don't care. See, PSA people have a problem now. PSA in general has a problem now. I'm going to tell you what the problem is. IGP was on the way out because it was going to be, and the reason why I was seriously considering entering PSA was IGP was going to be banned, right? Like it was only a matter of time before the crazy left-wing lunatics in Europe, which, Europe, especially like the motherland of IGP, which is Germany, right, is ruled by crazy left-wing lunatics. And it was only a matter of time before they banned IGP. But what happened was they somehow managed to get IGP classified as like a heritage thing. Like they made it like a heritage, like a matter of national heritage, which is basically, as far as I'm aware, made IGP now untouchable because they actually did ban it in Austria. And then they said, no, 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 this is a matter of national heritage. So it became like this protected activity, basically, where it's it's a national heritage thing. So that means IGP isn't fucking going anywhere. It's staying, right? Before I thought, oh, it's going to get banned within 5 years. Once, it's out of Germany, that's pretty much it. It won't exist anymore. But now it's protected. Now it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. And so, PSA really has a choice to make. Be the better choice or just continue to do what you're doing. And as I understand, it's a young sport, and it's privately owned, so on and so forth. That's all fine, but you need to professionalize it if you want it to continue to grow. If you want people like me that are like serious competitors, people that like do IGP in a serious way, not like, oh, I tried IGP and people were mean, so I left, right? No, I mean like serious people that actually like compete at IGP at a high level, that take the training really seriously, that put a lot of time, effort, and money into it. You want those people to go to your sport, professionalize it. Stop fucking around. All right. A lot of talking, not a lot of smoking. What became of Juice? I co-own her with somebody. Waiting for that bitch to come into heat. When she does, hopefully I'll breed her. Oh, another idiot. See, these are the negative comments. It's not negative in the sense that he's saying something negative. It's again just a sign that he's a brain dead moron, right? Stop smoking. It's not good. Thanks, Larry, for the PSA. Any other information you want to share with the group? Or maybe you should go back to coloring with your crayons. You can send me the picture when you're done. Until then, you're banned. All right. What else we got? Anything good? I remember you talking about getting a new sport dog from one of your breedings. Will your new sport dog come from one of Chico's litters? I actually have. I might have a new sport dog now. I got to go and look at that puppy when I get home. I will. And I'll probably do a little bit with him and then decide if I'm going to keep him or not. He has to be my speed. I'm done. I'm done taking dogs that are, before I would just be like, all right, I'm in it no matter what. At this point now, I'm super picky, and that puppy's going to be everything I personally want him to be, or he's going to find somewhere else to live. Who's the current number one dog trainer? There's no one that you would say is the current number one dog trainer. Hirumi says, my mom said it's not sanitary to smoke around the baby. Yeah, if you have a newborn baby, I wouldn't recommend smoking a cigar in the same room as it. That's a PSA for you. Good thing I'm outside. Tips for teaching a more pushing bite instead of a pulling bite. Put the dog on a table, positively reinforce the dog for pushing, also negatively reinforce him into pushing. And yeah, I have videos on that. How old was I when I started with working dogs? I'm 16. I want to work with CAM PV dogs in the future. Well, unless you're in Holland, that's probably not going to go very well. But I started first with working dogs when I was 18. Not in a serious way, more as like a canine security handler or whatever. I didn't actually do any training until like what was it? My mid 20s. Nino says, my Malinois rushing in IGP style tracking. Do I have some technical tricks to slow it down without pressure? Because if I apply pressure, she starts to show avoiding behavior. No, you must use pressure. You don't say, "Oh, I can't use pressure because my dog is avoiding." No, you say my dog doesn't understand the pressure properly and she has the wrong reaction to the pressure. But you must show her the pressure in a context that she understands. Yeah, I would lay like a 10-step track. I would put a nice big piece of food in every footstep. I would put her first saver on nice and snug, and then I would tap her on every footstep with the leash so that she begins to understand that the tap means there's food in the footstep. So every time you receive the tap, put your nose down deeper and eat the food, right? And when she tries to rush past the footstep, tick, 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 get back, eat from there, tick, 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 right? You understand? And now the dog begins to associate the pressure with eating food, not, oh, fuck, I'm in trouble. Outside of management, is there another way you would suggest handling two dogs that fight unexpectedly, once every 2 or 3 months, asking for a friend? It totally depends on the type of dogs that you have fighting. So, for instance, if I have a dog like Gage and maybe like a dog like my old dog that I had for a while, Yaxie, fighting, then for sure I will just be very firm with my discipline and I'll create some strong inhibition about them fighting. If I have a dog like Chico, there's no way in hell I'm going to ever leave him loose around another male dog. And I know that it's only a matter of time before someone gets severely injured because of the level of intensity and commitment that a dog like him has, right? So it totally depends on the individuals that you're dealing with. Can I get Michael Ellis on my podcast? No, because I don't fly people in for the podcast. I mean, maybe if he happens to come up to Ontario at some point, which I don't think he really travels around, I'll do it. It's been a long time since I don't think I've done a podcast in like a year almost. Because quite frankly, I don't it's not for me like something that I have to do all the time. It's more like if there's someone that I really feel the urge to talk to on the camera, then I will do the podcast. So it's not really like a podcast, it's more of a occasional podcast. Did you ask, does dominance in dogs exist? Well, considering that dominance in humans exist, I would definitely say that yes, dominance in dogs does exist. No, I don't really know much about um, German Shepherd, or sorry, Dutch Shepherd line, so I can't speak to that. Has, I have three horses. You and Anne make me laugh when you are with the GGs. The GGs. I don't know what you mean, GGs. Um, but yeah, it's funny? I haven't gotten on a horse again since that video. I assume you're talking about that video where me and Ann pulled the horses out of the pasture. They've been sitting all winter. We pulled them out, got on them, rode them, and then I haven't touched them since because I've been so busy preparing my dogs for IGP. And when I'm not preparing my dogs for competition, I'm working. And when I'm not working, I'm taking some family time, obviously, because it's the summer, right? Um, yeah. So I haven't actually ridden my horse. I'm keeping that PRE around because I do at some point. I have the aspiration to actually go and maybe get some like classical dressage training, and I would really like to do that with him. Again, I don't know if I'll ever get the time, but the good thing is horses live a long time, and he's a fantastic horse. So he's still young, so maybe I'll get a chance to do that within the next few years. Then you'll see some sexy videos of me riding my PRE stallion, or maybe gelding by now. I should probably cut him at some point in the near future. Do I offer a course on decoy work? Yes, I do. I have a protection foundations course and a DIY protection course. Both of those courses are invaluable to a new decoy that's trying to understand the drives, how to utilize them to maximize and optimize performance in protection. Any tips for transitioning to becoming a solo dog trainer after working at a dog training company? Yeah, like everything has a system. You have to have a good system for your dog training. You have to be in the right market, right? Like, for instance, where I am at right now, I wouldn't want to be a professional dog trainer here, even me, because it would be harder to make a living here, especially off season, because there's just not that many people here, right? And it's very rural. Versus, if you're in the right place and there's not maybe a ton of dog trainers around you, fantastic maybe opportunity for you to open up your own dog training facility and start there. The other thing to consider as well is, do you have a product that you can sell? There's a lot of dog trainers out there, but why should they go to you? You have to answer these questions, right? All right, guys. Kimmy says that Hamilton guy basically copy and pasted HAZ's work. They say imitation is the best form of flattery, and anything that you think of doing, someone's probably already done it. So maybe kind of start from there. When is my next litter expected? This is going to be my last question, by the way, guys, before I wrap it up. It's getting late out. My next litter is in 8 weeks. It is a combination of Yarrow X Babe. So this is going to be a litter from the full power kennel, and so this is a combination of both me and Anne, and Yarrow X Babe. So very nice bloodlines. You've got the Eisenkrauts and the uh, Urk and the Yanaka all coming together in that blood. So it should be a really nice dogs, biddable dogs, but dogs with good drives, dogs fantastic for the work. All right, guys. I'm going to call it a day here. Thank you all for jumping on here. And I appreciate all of you. You guys have a fantastic rest of your week. And I'll see you all on the next one.